Welcome, everyone, to the Scaling Smart podcast, where we bring together industry leaders, entrepreneurs, and innovators to discuss key insights, strategies, and their experiences that have driven success both for themselves and their customers. I'm Billy Mitchell, your host today. I'm excited to introduce a special guest, Ryan Esteb, who is the VP of Sales for ShiftLab.io, which is an intelligent workforce management platform built for retailers, helping brands optimize labor forecasting, streamline scheduling, driving performance across multi-location teams. With AI-powered insights and automation, ShiftLab enables companies to align labor with demand and scale efficiently. Ryan, thanks so much for joining us today. How are you?
Phenomenal. Excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Well, as a reminder to you, as well as our audience, we break up this podcast into three sections. First, we want to get to know you and your organization. After that, we're going to talk about your ideal candidate profile as well as your industry. Finally, we'll jump into growth and scale, what's working and even what's not working. So with all that, are you ready to get going?
Yeah, let's do it.
Excellent. I like to start with having our guests provide kind of their elevator pitch, 90-second, 2-minute overview of what your organization is, what you guys do, who you are. Give us that sales pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. So we help retailers run smarter stores by automating how they schedule and manage labor. Most operators are stuck building schedules by hand, chasing down compliance issues, or kind of just crossing their fingers and hoping that the right people are in the right place at the right time. And ShiftLab aims to fix that. So our platform pulls data from point of sale systems, traffic counters, payroll, so we can automate labor decisions in real time. So things like who should be working, who's hitting overtime, whether stores are covered. And we've got into the space because we've lived these problems. We saw managers kind of drowning in the spreadsheets, working late just to piece together a schedule. Probably changes. It's probably going to change anyway. So we figured there'd be a better way. So honestly, we just built it.
That's awesome. So before we go any further into the organization, which I've got a lot of follow-up questions to that, I actually really would like to get to know you. So how did you get to the point where you're VP of Sales for ShiftLab? Tell us a little bit about Ryan and his journey.
Yeah. So I started my career, just working in a wireless phone store. I worked for Singular Wireless, so I'm dating myself there a little bit. But worked for Singular and then AT&T and T and ultimately Verizon. And then took my career from there to Avis Budget Rental Car and kind of ran, several locations over the central United States. And then during the pandemic, rental car was kind of challenged. A lot of people weren't traveling. And then, I got into kind of the software space and met our founder and CEO, Devin Shrake. And he kind of told me what he was doing and showed me the product. And, he was a 1,200 store VP of analytics and kind of was like, hey, man, I'm tired of having these labor conversations. Sales are dipping, labor's going up. So here's my PDF of what I'm trying to accomplish. And, I need somebody to lead sales. So the rest is history.
That's awesome. Well, I'm excited because I've got some questions about sales, obviously the Shift Lab, but also as inevitable with all my conversations jumping into AI.
Yeah.
So my understanding and kind of takeaway from your elevator pitch, ShiftLab probably uses a lot of AI to coordinate and assess work schedules. I hadn't anticipated you saying that it's going to use point of sale data as well. So I'm guessing that you're evaluating busy times, slow times, as well as what I really liked was the employees and who might be close to overtime or who is needs some extra hours. Walk me through a little bit about how the product works and what is the AI that's built in.
Yeah, so we grab a lot of historical data. We partner with anybody and everybody who will partner with us. Point of sale data. We started in the wireless space because that's what we knew. And obviously, wireless being a sales-based culture, you want to make sure that you have your right salespeople in the right positions. You may have one person that will work multiple cash wraps. So we wanted to make sure that, we're centralizing all that data. We don't have, point of sale here, traffic here, HR over here. So we bring all those functions into one platform. And then we machine learn all that data. And, you tell us how you want to rank your employees. We can rank by, sales metrics, customer service metrics. We can do attendance. Then we'll rank your employees, literally click a button and it builds a sales optimized schedule that is fully compliant. We have labor laws baked into the platform. So as soon as you're creating these schedules, it's auto assigning breaks. And then, with our time management system, it gives managers alerts saying, "Hey, Ryan is approaching, his sixth hour of work and hasn't had a lunch break yet. You may want to go talk to him." So, the whole thesis
Wow.
behind ShiftLab was really just to give the field the information in real time so they can actually manage it. We didn't want to run a report 30 days later and say, "Oh, hey guys, this was a missed opportunity." Ooh. So.
Very cool. So that's actually a really good segue into the next portion, which I want to talk a little bit about who you're selling to,
Yeah.
your ideal candidate profile. In addition to that, inside of the organization, are you selling to managers, HR teams? So walk us through, if I were to bring you a customer on a silver platter, who would it be?
Yeah, so our ideal client is really kind of a multi-location retailer. So, we have customers in the wireless space, cannabis space, furniture, specialty retail. So these operators are typically ones that don't have time to kind of micromanage schedules, don't have the extra staff to double check on breaks or compliance. They're usually moving pretty quickly, wearing multiple hats. So we pretty much take all the guesswork out of the scheduling. We automate it based on their traffic, their labor laws, and instead of them wasting hours trying to build the perfect schedule and who can approve, we just let it run. We watch the break compliance, overtime, labor costs, and kind of give them all that on a silver platter. We put it right in front of the managers. They're the ones that can impact the field. So ultimately trying to give the operators a system that works behind the scenes and keeps everything running tight without them having to kind of micromanage it.
So one of our customers in the marketing side of things is a multi-location burger joint, basically fast food chain. If you live on the West Coast, you would have definitely heard of them. Is there a minimum location, maximum location, anything that fits best there?
Yeah, typically once you cross into that 5 to 10, and it really depends on headcount as well. Like a wireless retailer typically has a lower headcount than like we work in Samsung Experience Store, so that's 20 25 employees per location. So yeah, typically 5 to 10 locations is when it starts to become a little bit more on the unmanageable side.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then from the industry perspective, is there a lot of competition? Um, what does that look like, and how are you guys standing out?
Yeah, so it's interesting because we're kind of in this weird space where we don't have direct competition. We have kind of inadvertent. We go up against some of these legacy HIRS platforms, but they aren't as flexible and nimble as we are. What kind of makes us different is we're not really we build for the people actually doing the job, like store managers, district leaders, not IT, not HR, not an analyst that's going to dig through the reports. We want to just provide actionable insights really quickly. So we connect all the dots, like I keep saying, sales data, payroll, traffic, holidays. Just give you a smart schedule that adapts instead of just saying, hey, good luck. We partner with all of your tools and bring it into one centralized location.
Yeah, that makes sense, and I can understand going up against some of those uh, bigger organizations that offer many different HR management tools. I like the fact that you guys can come in and just say, no, this is who we serve, this is what we do, and we do it really well. So with that, I'm curious, and maybe AI is part of this conversation, maybe it's not, but in the next, we were joking before the call. I used to ask the next 5 years, but reality, next 1 to 3 years, what does this look like? How are you guys evolving to meet the needs of the customers?
Yeah, so this is something we talk about weekly. We're pretty confident that easily within the next decade, labor's all going to be AI driven. So schedules aren't going to be static. They're going to shift hour by hour based on what's actually happening in the business. Compliance will be handled in the background. You're not going to have to touch a schedule unless something breaks. We're building towards that already. So just kind of getting more data from our partners, building smarter models, and just ultimately like listening to our customers and saying like what's a pain point, what's keeping you up at night, how can we help? That's kind of the thesis. ShiftLab was started as a scheduling tool, and we've evolved to where we are now, which is a time management system, real time notification dashboard, and some other things that are getting ready to launch. So, we're not waiting around for the trend to hit us. We're trying to kind of define what that looks like.
Cool. So I am curious to get your input and take on this being the VP of sales. So let's talk a little bit about growth and scale. What does a day in your life look like from a sales perspective? What kind of marketing activities are you guys doing to support and empower your day-to-day activities? And are you managing a team? What does that team do on a day-to-day basis? Give us a little insight into the marketing sales.
Yeah. So it's a lot of different hats. We do conferences. Go out and set up the booth and have conversations with people who are living the life. We like to talk and kind of just give live demos in person. We've gone to a couple cannabis conventions, and that's an industry that's being squeezed for margins. So we continue to try to help protect those there. We do a lot of cold calling. And I personally enjoy it. I'm not someone that's going to say, hey, you need to make your calls today, but ultimately I like having those conversations and getting feedback. But I manage our partner relationships as well. We have tons of great partners that are looking for a way to differentiate themselves. So leveraging us as kind of a tool. Hey, we dump our data here, and this is what it does, because ShiftLab prides itself on our ROI pretty heavily. So that gives them a key differentiator. So, just on top of all that, it's mainly motivating kind of the people who are selling our product as well. So just having those conversations with the team internally, kind of letting them vent and hear their frustrations, and then listen for any blockers that they may be having, and just try to remove those out of their way.
I love growing through partnerships.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of the areas that I would spend all my time doing if I had the opportunity. What kind of partners are you working with? And let's talk about what makes a successful partnership.
Yeah, so we work with point of sale systems. That way we can get that sales data. We work with traffic systems. That way we can have the historical data to kind of forecast. We work with HRS systems. That way we never want to be a duplicate system we don't want to add complexities for our customers. So, if we can create, we kind of have a saying around here at ShiftLab, if we can automate it, let's do it. So, just creating a payroll file. So, you're approving your time and it pushes directly into your HR system, or, clicking an auto schedule button that prints out a schedule in 10 seconds, just trying to make it easier for our operators to get back out and manage their teams. Um, so just those are historically where we go. I think what makes a great partnership is, just the joint vision. We've had some conversations with people in the past that were interested in partnering, but their kind of vision of uh, of of where they were going, and their clientele wasn't necessarily with what we're trying to do. So just opted to not kind of go with those guys. But ultimately, just kind of having the same guiding light, and working towards the same goal is important to us.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think a shared vision, shared values is important. When we're partnered or working with partners, uh, and that is in alignment, whenever they send a referral or a lead or vice versa, you can know and trust that it's going to be treated the way that you would be treating it. So I
Exactly.
think there's a lot of
Exactly.
power to that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Completely agree.
Awesome. Well, this has been really good, and I appreciate your time. I'm going to jump into a lightning round. I
Yeah.
didn't prep you with any of these questions, so but it's just meant to be fun
Yeah.
and easy. So, you ready to do it?
Let's do it.
Awesome. All right. First one, coffee or tea?
T.
Nice. I am personally addicted to coffee, and in fact, maybe just more so caffeine because I've
I
got
was
some right here.
I was gonna say, did you see me pause because it was energy drink in my
Yeah,
head?
that is true. That's kind of the maybe I need to update that question.
Yeah.
Um, all right, one tool or system that you use that keeps your organization running smoothly.
HubSpot.
Yeah, HubSpot's good. That's real good. Um, yeah, a lot of our customers use HubSpot, and when they don't, it's like, it'd be
Yeah,
really nice if you guys used HubSpot.
yeah, yeah.
All right, favorite book, podcast, or resource that has influenced you the most?
Ooh. Um, wow. Wow, this is interesting. I mean, this is kind of generic, but YouTube is a resource.
Yeah,
and I'm saying that from all aspects of my life. So YouTube
yeah,
probably.
yeah. I'm right there with you. And actually, I just um, maybe a week ago, week and a half ago, I paid for YouTube Premium.
Oh man.
Changed my world.
Yeah.
No commercials, and I'm an ad guy, so keep in mind that's like not I'm not promoting this, but
Yeah.
absolutely love it, and it includes music with no commercials. And anyways,
Life
I'm not
changing.
sa- I'm not making any money off of this, but it is wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, what's one bucket list item you've already checked off?
Um, just being a dad. As generic as that may sound, just that having two little boys that I get to spend time with and just experiencing that.
Yeah, man, that's there's no genericness about that. Being a dad is one of the best things that's ever
Yeah.
happened to me too, and I love that we've got boys, both boys, very, very similar in age. I think
Yeah.
it's such a wonderful time.
Absolutely exhausting, but well worth it.
Exactly. What's one goal you're still working on?
Um, like I'm not historically, I'm not I'm just a kid from the west side of Indianapolis, like just trying to, leave my print here. But ultimately, I would love to be able to leave my children with something that they could be proud of, something that they could have, that they could help build their lives up around.
That's good. Um, yeah, leaving a legacy is a big pillar in my wife and I's life. All right, what's one of the biggest challenges you faced in your career, and how did it shape who you are and what you do?
Yeah. So this one always is interesting to me. Anytime I've heard this, but I've always dealt with imposter syndrome, like
Yeah.
really bad. Like I said, I've never, I didn't go to an elite school. I never worked for like a big tech company. Just had to kind of grit it out. My parents showed me what a work ethic was, and that's kind of who I am. I got that grit, and I show up. I do the work. I love talking to people, but sometimes I just don't feel like I belong in the room. Um,
Yep.
so that's kind of helped me, like face, some things that some people wouldn't be able to do, like talk on stage or sit on a panel or, sit here with you and have this conversation. But it's kind of made me face my fears at times.
Yeah, the imposter syndrome is a real thing, and it's something I've dealt with and had to manage as well. So I totally understand.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then finally, Ryan, if our listeners want to connect with you, what's one of the best ways to get in touch?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, just Ryan Esteb at ShiftLab. Or, you can reach me out via email, ryan@shiftlab.io. Would love to chat, whether it's about ShiftLab or if it's about anything else. I love learning from people, so would be happy to connect.
Excellent. Well, I really do appreciate your time. And for everybody else, this is a wrap of this episode of Scaling Smart. I'm your host, Billy Mitchell, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Scaling Smart podcast, where we have conversations with real people with real stories who have learned how to scale smart.